Hello, and thank you for joining Belkins Season 3 Growth Podcast Under the Spotlight. Today is a special day. I have with me the General Manager of Cemtrex. CXR is a creative technology studio focused on the design and the development of digital experiences for mobile, web, augmented reality, virtual reality, and the Internet of Things for their clients. They were founded in 2009, and CemtrexLabs has led the design and development of products and solutions for companies like Constellation Brands, HBO Max, Richmond, AARP, and Dropbox. Here with me today is their General Manager, Lucky Gobindram. Lucky, thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
So to dive right in, I want to just kind of talk about first the initial idea for Cemtrex. And also, if you want to take a second and give it to us in layman's terms around what Cemtrex does for somebody who may not know, you can do that and then we can kind of jump in.
Sure, happy to dive in and clarify. So I'm specifically the General Manager of CemtrexLabs, Cemtrex CXR, and GoodTech, which are three subsidiaries of Cemtrex. So I look at the three subsidiaries, not at the parent company specifically. But CemtrexLabs' mission is to reimagine how people interact with brands, to disrupt the status quo and uncover value others can't find, to solve tomorrow's business challenges in thoughtful, elegant ways. We aim to be strategic leaders in emerging technologies, innovators in user experience. Our mission is to arm businesses for the digital revolution, right? So at the core of it, we are futurists, thinkers, doers that are building products, digital products specifically for web, mobile, virtual reality, augmented reality, and interlacing technologies like artificial intelligence and machine learning where applicable, and then enabling those experiences in front end by cloud computing infrastructures. So whether it be built on AWS or Oracle or Azure, but we're building dynamic technology to serve enterprise businesses.
Awesome. So hypothetically, I'm a pilot for Boeing and I'm taking a course to elevate my pilot status or to be able to fly a different type of aircraft. And they want to put me through some virtual reality courses where I can have it simulated. That's the type of technology that you guys could possibly be integrated with or be connected to.
Sure, we could build that for the enterprise, Boeing, theoretically. If Boeing came to us and they were like, hey, we want to build flight simulators, then yes, we could theoretically work with their technology team to build said technology or other technologies that may work well within that ecosystem to upskill or train pilots or other people within the ecosystem in the organization. Yes.
Absolutely. Cool. And then talk to me a little bit about the other companies that you mentioned. So it seems like you guys have spun off or kind of grown other divisions or other companies within Cemtrex or kind of in connection to Cemtrex. So give me a little scope around those companies, if you would.
Sure, happy to. So CXR specifically, which is a sister company of CemtrexLabs, is an award-winning creative technology lab focused on XR. XR meaning extended reality and experiences for brands of every size. So we're best known for our work in augmented reality and virtual reality, machine learning, WebGL, artificial intelligence. And we specifically really focus on building applications and design and development for advertising and marketing, sales enablement, enterprise training. So that Boeing example would probably be an engagement for the CXR team. It has some of the similar hierarchy of resources from a management level, but that resource pool is specialized in building spatial applications, right? And the other subsidiary I mentioned that I look at and I'm responsible for is GoodTech. Its purpose is that success shouldn't be limited to a business of a certain size, right? So at GoodTech, where we're here to equip the class of enterprises often overlooked, the SMEs. When you're thinking about like these types of things, that people go to serve the large enterprises, the Fortune 500, where you think about digital transformation and whatnot. But SMEs are in need of that. So GoodTech focus on small, medium enterprises faced with bigger hurdles than ever before, where that'll help them understand how to responsibly tech plan and how that can strengthen their business, whether it's more efficient software, cloud migrations, optimized user experiences, or You're a staff aug or dedicated teams. We're here to celebrate ingenuity with unmatched support. And the GoodTech side is 150 people that is focused on really helping build reliable, hassle-free, affordable tech solutions, serving that underserved market of SMEs to go down the path of digital transformation and think about their cloud structures and infrastructure and their solutioning and whatnot.
So it's the smaller company that has a really awesome, complex idea that is in need of the same types of services that are usually few and far in between. I feel like digital, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like digital is growing at such a fast pace that it becomes an ever-present challenge to stay on the cutting edge of what's next. It's like it's evolving so quickly. Am I right there?
Oh, without a doubt, it changes daily. We're a learning organization, right? As much as we build, we're learning, right? We take time out, we carve out time for our teams to spend learning and prototyping, and we instigate those behaviors, right? If all you do is just the work for hire and your head's down, that's all you do, you become a robot, right? We want our team to focus on reading, tinkering, building, experimenting, right? So we make sure they have time for that, right? And we as an organization continue to focus on that, right? So we continue to try the newest technologies. We continue to prototype in our lab with it. Even if it's not work for hire, we are just playing. We are learning, right? It's like children, right? How do they learn in school when they're like in preschool and they're 3, 4? They learn through play and interaction and touch and feel and just being. Right. And if you don't do those things, and we stop that a lot as an adult, right? We become very robotic. It's like, I have this job. I'm doing this job. This is what I'm going to do. That's silly, right? As much as you need to do that, you need to spend the time nurturing those skills and seeing what's out there. Otherwise, you're going to start building antiquated things very quickly. You're not a technology lab at that point. You're just a website shop. You just build websites. Great. There's a big place for those people in the world. There's a lot of organizations that need that. But, the ones that want to push the envelope, the ones that want to build for the future and tomorrow, they want to build technology that's going to scale with them rather than support an immediate problem. Those are the types of organizations we want to talk to. Those are the types of organizations we want to help design for the future and help them think about what's next. How do I build something that is not good for only today, but good for tomorrow and a year from now, and it's going to set my business up for success, and it's going to give me the right metrics to inform our organization on what we should be doing and what our customers want, and these types of questions, these more introspective questions.
I love that. So I'm a big dreamer myself. I've been in sales my whole life, but I'm just a big proponent for keeping that dreamer alive inside of us, especially as we get older. Because that's I agree with you. I think it's the key to innovation and thinking of ideas is like making sure that little voice that's like, hey, but is this possible? Well, why not? Why isn't it possible? Because as we get older, we get kind of put into different frameworks because of what works. And that's the framework that we operate in. Just like you said, we're kind of being robotic in a way because that's what gets results. That definitely resonates with me, especially the fun aspect of things. And I think it's really important, especially as we get out of college, it's your job to educate yourself on trends. And there's a huge disparity from what we're taught versus what we learned at 25, at 30, once we're out of school, when other technologies start evolving and there's an evolution of sorts. When Web3, when you read the words Web3 or you read about metaverse, it's like, well, if you want to know about it, you have to be a student. You have to have the spirit of a student and stay in the books and include yourself in those Discords and those Telegram channels to learn about what's actually happening within those spaces and what it means to you, how it may apply. So no, I think it's super important. Let me back up for a second, though. I know we just jumped right into the weeds, but that's just because what you were saying really resonated with me. And so I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper. But just from talking about the parent company, from Cemtrex perspective, do you know where the idea came from to create Cemtrex and to get into this digital space that you guys are in? I understand kind of where the companies have spun from, but where did the conception start?
Cemtrex's mission is to craft meaningful technology that pushes the boundaries of how we live, work, and play. That's the core thesis, right? And every facet of the company serves this mission, from Cemtrex XR to our smartness organization, and how it's trying to evolve the modern workspace, to be our training platform, to so on. Cemtrex was originally formed in 2004 as an industrial technology firm in New York that enlisted on the OTC BB in 2007. And then through the journey, it eventually uplisted in 2015 to the NASDAQ. And it's been named as a Deloitte Fast 500 company 5 out of the last 10 years. It's gone through multiple things where it acquired organizations, it sold pieces, it launched its own IP and started building its own technologies. But at the core, it's a technology firm, right?
If I'm correct in my thinking, so these other individual organizations are already at a certain level of maturation when they come in under the Cemtrex umbrella.
Sometimes some are built internally, right? Like SmartBest was an idea that was born inside of Cemtrex, or other organizations like AIS, sure. Vicon, yes, it was much more mature. Vicon is what, a 40-year-old company or more.
How long have you been operating privately before you were fired?
So Wheels Up with those companies. So it was originally one company, to be clear, and that company was acquired. And through the acquisition, it's grown and matured into the 3 different companies. It was not those 3 companies originally. It was one company called OAB Studios. It was formed and it was absorbed into the Cemtrex organization like 5 or 6 years ago.
Got it. So, and what was the core mission statement with OAB Studios?
OAB Studios was also a creative technology lab focused on design and development of digital experiences for mobile, web, AR, VR, and the Internet of Things for our clients. We were acquired because of our skills and our ability to do that and where the world was evolving and how we could grow through the acquisition. The thesis hasn't changed. It was the same behavior, permissionless innovation. Like that was always the growth plan, and it just made more sense to be able to do that within the Cemtrex vehicle than do it as a small agency.
Got it. And you started that company, that was you and your brother?
It was, and that was like, I think it was 2009 when we started doing that.
When you created that company, when that company was created, what type of product market fit analysis did you do or did you execute to determine that this is what we should create? This is how we want to go to market. There's a need here.
We were coming out of another business. We were serial thinkers and builders always. We grew up in a family that was involved in hardware and software technology. We sold our other business. It was the beginning of the mobile revolution. iPhone to App Store 1. We had started building some of our own apps, games, social apps, whatever it is. We quickly saw that other people did not know how to actually design and build for mobile. We had picked up some competency along the way. We had friends at large organizations that were in positions of digital, and they didn't have a plan or a path to actually realize their mobile strategies. So they leaned in, they asked us, and we quickly saw that they needed support. And it turned into retainer-based engagements where we were being paid to help them articulate and formalize their vision and realize it. And then from there, we saw demand and we productized the idea of an agency and services. And the rest is history, right? There wasn't like this whole detailed market research thing. It was inherently clear, right? We're guys who grew up in Web 1.0. We saw the evolution of the creation of the World Wide Web. At that juncture, we started seeing the world shift from a desktop web-based economy to like, I have a computer in my pocket and now I can build native applications that are mobile first. And people didn't understand it and they needed help. And the demand was there. So we had the skill, so we productized it.
Did you at any point in time transition your new client acquisition from that referral base where people are coming to you looking for companies and looking for partners to identify that would need your services?
It's still a mix, man, to be honest with you. Daily, we get people that call us, that email us, that come looking for us and our services. I still think that is definitely preferable to be hunted than be the hunter. It's still better, right?
Yeah,
obviously,
absolutely.
hunting is the nature of beast, and we still continue to try to prune and grow that part of our business. I'll tell you, still predominantly, it's inbound more than outbound. Outbound is a real part of it. I think like part of that helps the inbound. It is good outbound, like in terms of like content creation, SEO, right? And obviously it's the brass tacks, like, let's use campaigns, let's use cadence trip sequences and tools to do that. It's not the first line of defense there. And it's definitely something that is a value add. I'd say it's something we want to continue to do more of because we want to grow. But the foundation is not built on that, to be honest with you. It's still more being picky and choosy, seeing who comes to our door, qualifying them, making sure they're a good fit. I mean, if a team that's 200 people, you're not able to serve everybody. It's not possible that everybody's going to be able to afford the quality that you want to provide. So it's a balance.
Got it. How competitive is your space? It sounds to me like it's relatively niche in terms of the way that you guys are serving the marketplace. But do you find that there's a lot of competition that's worthy?
Competition in some aspects of the business, like, there's a lot of people that are competitive in building a website or building a mobile app, right? That today, that's more bottom of barrel, right? But you're asking somebody about, let's build a data lake, or let's build robust cloud infrastructure and cloud computing infrastructure for a bunch of enterprise applications, or let's build a headless WordPress infrastructure rather than just a basic WordPress infrastructure, or let's build a spatial computing app for AR or VR. That's more niche for sure. And there's less people that are qualified to be able to do those things from an end-to-end perspective, from like design, development, deployment, support, maintenance, and everything in between. But yeah, if you want a bottom of the barrel, I also want a basic WordPress website. Yeah, there's tons of competition out there. But is that where I really want to be building? No. But if a partner needs it, then we'll do it. Or if you're looking at like staff augmentation, which is something we do provide dedicated teams, or you need a full stack developer. Sure. But is that more competitive? Yeah, it is for sure. There's a lot of people that are willing to provide you staff aug or something of that nature.
Wow, that's interesting. Help me understand. So out of the 200 people, will you help me understand what the org structure looks like in terms of how many people on your dev department, how many people in your marketing department, how many people in your sales department?
Oh, I don't have a direct breakdown off the top of my head. I mean, it's predominantly designers and engineers. And that 200 people I'm thinking about, it's predominantly engineers. I would actually say that the marketing and sales teams are not accounted for in that, right? Our sales team is fairly small. I think our sales team is sub 10 today, mix of sales engineers and direct business development resources that are actually out there hunting and gathering. A marketing team is sub 5, right? Like, it's small.
Wow.
But that 200 people, I'm telling you, those are designers, whether they're UX, UI, 3D spatial designers, sound designers, all of that, and then developers, depending on what type of you're looking at, whether full stack web, mobile architects, AI engineers, Unity engineers, Unreal engineers. That 200 number, that is really just the engine of mind share of people that are actually building product.
Yeah. That's mind blowing to me. I think that you, just based on my experience, I think that you are an exception to the rule for a lot of different companies I would talk to in terms of the way that you guys have grown your business. Not to mention even just looking at the breakdowns. What's your average length of customer relationship? Once somebody becomes a client to you, how long are they a client with you before that relationship concludes on average? Do you know?
It really depends on the organization. I don't have an average, but it depends. There's some people that go into a staff aug that have resources on staff augmentation for years. There are people that come in and they have, they don't have internal competency for one aspect of what they're building, and they just need a team to build a module or an element, and that engagement is 10 weeks, 12 weeks. And there are people that build a project and they stay on and support maintenance and ongoing iterations for years, right? So, by the time it out, I think an average duration of a client must be like, I don't know, 8 months if you average everything out. But I think it's unfair to look at it in that way because, like, obviously different segments of the business have different cadences and expectations.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that makes sense to me. What types of projects get your team excited, or what types of projects bring your team to a place where it's something that they're super, super enthusiastic getting started with?
I think things that really want to push the boundaries of what's possible in engineering, right? The fun stuff is like, Let me reinvent your training ecosystem using spatial, right? And let me build you a whole VR training application, integrated your learning software management platform, create you one single source of truth, like things that really move the needle and help organizations shape shift for future of work and future of learning, things like that. That's what's exciting. Helping people really evolve and build things that are going to set them up for long-term success.
Got it. So that was going to be that you kind of led me into my next question. When it comes to the projects and the work that you guys do, you have any type of insight or visibility into how that project or how that specific work turned out for that client of yours?
We're a data first organization, right? So if we're building something, we're going to track it again, benchmark it against current to what the future is, right? To show impact of the new deployment and how is it positively growing against what you were originally doing or whatnot, right? Is it saving you money? Is it saving you time? Is it improving results? Is it stickier than previous before? Are you getting higher click-throughs? There's a number of different things we look at from a KPI standpoint to quantify and qualify performance success.
Got it. What is the greatest misperception of your space when people look at what it is that you do or what it is that your team does? What is the greatest misunderstanding?
That all providers in the domain are equal. I think people think that, oh, some guy quoted me a tenth of what you're quoting me. Yeah, this must be wrong. Well, you pay for what you get for, right? It's like trying to say a Hyundai drives the same as a Tesla. They're both cars. They both take you from point A to point B. But believe me, the Hyundai is not a Tesla. Yes, they serve the same purpose, but one's going to outperform the other one every time.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the fact that a lot of your work and the relationships that you have is protected under NDA and is confidential, I would assume that being able to leverage some of those use cases would help you convey the value during that conversation when somebody's trying to compare you to somebody else, but it's an apple and orange comparison. How do you guys manage those conversations when you have all of this work that you've done that you would love to reference, but it's protected and it has to be maintained confidential, and you want to convey that, but you can't? What do you do there?
I introduced them to previous clients. Tell them, talk to them. Meet Billy from XYZ. He's done XYZ project with us. Talk to him about his experience and the success. And don't trust me. Trust the guy who paid me to do it before, who's winning because of it.
Got it. So you have clients that are willing to have conversations, but you don't necessarily have a publicly published use case that outlines the roadmap of the work that you did and the impact that it created.
We have some. We definitely have some that we've been approved to provide metrics on. Fewer and far between. And we're happy to share them. We have decks. We make people sign NDAs. We'll go to in person and we'll put you in headset or pull up our screen and show you the performance and the metrics and in a closed room. And we've done that before to help people understand and quantify and qualify themselves. But what we see in the best result is talk to them, hear from them. It's always better to hear from the horse's mouth.
Can you help some of the listeners understand what that process is like being acquired? What kind of preparation, what kind of things did you have to do to facilitate that to be successful?
I mean, you need to be able to provide the metrics of your organization, right? And you need to be able to have all your documents in order. You're going to go through a diligence process. Somebody should be interested. They're gonna want to be able to quantify and qualify what you say you are, be able to appraise the value, make an offer, go through the acceptance thing.
Was there a thought from your side of things that, because I know one thing about companies in some situations when they're acquired, that the acquiring company doesn't keep the same talent that is already employed by the company being acquired. Was there thoughts around that?
No, we're 100% intact till today. The original team is still here.
Wow.
They said they did what they said, and they said what they did.
Okay, so they told you that, hey, we're not trying to gut you. We're not taking you for your client base. We're taking you for your talent base. Honestly, like we're taking you for the innovative thought process and the innovative approach that you guys take.
Sure, yeah. I still know everybody on the team. We've grown organically. Same team.
If you could go back to the beginning of when you started this journey and to give yourself any advice, what would you say?
I would have leaned in more to like building our own IP early on. And if I could have understood that the whole world was going to go mobile as fast as it was, there are other things I would have solved for and tried to solve for, right? It's something that blow my mind till today. Like something like Figma being acquired by 20 billion by Adobe last week, right? That was such a simple thing, actually. It's so good, right? Figma came out after Sketch, right?
Yeah.
There's still many problems to solve, but there's a very interesting thing to say about like recurring revenue models for selling software. And now, super interesting.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I agree. I'm always curious, like, if you go back and based on what you've experienced, be like, hey, don't do this, or hey, trust your gut on this, what those answers are. So that's interesting. In terms of what's next, what do you see in the future? What do you have plans for in the next 5 years? Where do you see that a company be growing to in the position?
I can talk specifically from what I am involved in, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes
absolutely.
itself is the greater thesis. But just growth, man, growth mindset, increase profitability and grow. Lean more into spatial computing. The world is going to lean more and more into spatial computing, right? I get it. We're all using computers and mobile phones today, but I see the world going towards a blur of augmented and virtual reality and 3D content, augmenting my real world and immersing me in virtual worlds. But I think, if I can leave the audience of one thing is pay attention to it, because it's simply going to change the way we interact and live.
Oh, that's awesome. I was just curious. So I heard from one of my colleagues that you've done some speaking at TEDx. I was curious what your experience was like doing your TED Talks, what your topics were, what your experience level was.
So I've done a number of talks for New York Tech Week, to speaking at Augmented World Expo. I'm speaking at another conference, CES, in 2 weeks, Augmented Enterprise Summit. My TED Talk was several years ago. It was a TEDx, actually, specifically. It wasn't a TED Talk on their Vancouver stage. It was a TEDx. The TED Talk that I gave was actually about the core theme was made in the future. The title, if I remember correctly, was The Empathy of Easy Distribution. And basically what it was talking about was how society has changed rapidly, and, how the next generation needs to know certain things, like how to empathize with the end audience and understand their pain, and how to actually build for that audience, right? To learn the code, learn to understand your audience and the data points about it, and the psychology of that, and the way that there's a shift in the paradigm, right? It used to be like, go to college, get a degree. This is what's going to make you successful. Get a great 9 to 5. Is that the case anymore? I don't know. You have the American government trying to forgive college loans. You have people that are making 6 figures who are still paying college debt years later that don't qualify for college loan forgiveness. And you have people who have never gone to college, who took the time to teach themselves the code and understand human behavior, are able to build technology that solves real world problems that are scaling to billions of users. I don't know, take what you may with it. You give a grain of salt, but I think that we are all evolving as a species. The education system needs to evolve. And to build anything successful, you need to be able to empathize with your audience.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Listen, thank you so much for taking the time to chat and connect with me. I really appreciate it. You're a unique and special individual, one of the more unique guests that I've talked to and that I've had. But if you've been listening, your time is the only thing that we can't get back. So thanks for spending it with me. This is Brian with Lucky. You've just listened to Belkins Season 3 Growth Podcast, Under the Spotlight.